Tonight I'm making bangers and sweet potato mash in my low-carb kitchen. All right, my sweet potato is done. I have it in a bowl. I'm covering it with a cloth just to keep it warm, but I want it to cool down so I can actually handle it with my hands. It's actually very, very hot right now. It's a hot potato. For the actual banger portion of this dish, the recipe comes from a book that I absolutely love called The Real Meal Revolution. And I'm pretty much doing the recipe as is. I did make the change. The recipe calls for using cauliflower mash, which is much more lower carb than it is with the sweet potato. But I'm doing a sweet potato because this was our favorite dish when my husband took me for our anniversary to England, and we had it with a sweet potato mash, so I'm using it that way. But anyway, to make this dish significantly lower carbs, you can definitely just use cauliflower mash. It changes the dish from 26 carbs. Yeah, it's a very liberal low carb diet that we're doing with this particular meal. Versus if you use cauliflower mash, it'd be about 8 grams of carbs in the dish. So anyway, sausage, I have about 1.5 pounds of plum tomatoes quartered. I've got 4 tablespoons of butter. I have 8 ounces of bacon cut in half. I have sea salt, pepper, which I'm just going to do the taste. I have 4 sprigs of rosemary, which are just add wonderful flavor. I have 4 cloves of garlic I have to squish in just a moment. And then I have 1 red onion already sliced, just thinly sliced. And then each slice is cut in half. So just all the slices are halved. And what we're going to do is we're going to start this on the stove top, and then it's going to go into the oven. But before I do that, I have to prepare the garlic because I haven't done that yet. So I'm going to move a few things out of the way. And essentially for the garlic, all I'm going to do is smash them. I'm not going to mince them. I'm not going to cut them up. I'm just, you heard that crunch, I hope, but that's all I'm doing. I'm just, oh, that one's already squished. That's another one. And when you smash it like that, they actually become really easy to peel. So I'm going to go ahead and get all the paper off. They're ready to go. I'm going to trim that up a little bit. And it's just going to go in a dish whole, but it's crushed. I've already crushed that one. Ooh, that was a good one. A little bit more. And then I'm going to go ahead and get this on the oven, or on the stove, I should say. All right, I melted my 4 tablespoons of butter over a medium-high heat, and I'm adding all of the sausage in. And what I'm basically going to do is I'm just going to sear the sausage on all sides, and then I'm going to take the sausage out. But I just want to sear it because it is going to go into the oven. I'm preheating the oven right now to 400. Everything is going to go in this one pan in the oven because that's why I'm using cast iron. If you don't have cast iron, that's fine. You just use a roasting dish. Everything's going to go into a roasting dish then into the oven. But if you have an oven-proof pan like a cast iron skillet, I highly recommend just using it as one pot. All right, the sausage is seared. I browned it all around, as you can see. Looks great. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this aside, and I'm going to next add the bacon. And I'm going to cook the bacon, and I'm going to cook it. I'm going to add everything else in. Once this cooks, it's going to be a little bit chewy. I don't want it crispy yet. It'll crisp up as I start putting everything else in here. But you have to be careful when you're putting the bacon in because this is obviously hot. So you want to, when you lay it down, I always lay it away from me, not towards me. That way I can minimize the splatter on myself. All right, the bacon is perfect. This just took a few minutes to get it to where I need it, and I flipped it. What I'm going to do now, carefully, I'm going to add in the onions first. You want to be careful because of the splatter. So I'm adding in the onions. I'm going to stir the onions with the bacon. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add in the garlic. I'm going to add in the rosemary. Put that around for good flavor. And again, very carefully, add in the tomatoes. And the goal here is to cook down my tomatoes. I'm going to cook them down for it'll be about 10 minutes. I just want them really softened where they're starting to break down. All right, my food is cooking, and I'm going to go ahead and just cut my potato in half. I let it cool enough so I can actually handle it. But it's also, as you can see, as I poke it with the knife, very, very soft. Still steaming a little bit, but that's perfectly fine. I want that. And I just love how it just peels so easily. I'm just going to go ahead and take it and put it into my dish so I can mix. I'm going to get let me get all of this peel out. That's what I had the spoon for, was to do basically that, to scrape it out if I had to. Now you can use the peel if you want. I'm not going to, because it has a little bit too much char on it on certain parts. So normally I would, but that's all right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to, with my spoon, is just go ahead and mash and stir. And it smells really good. I don't add any sweetener because it's sweet enough. Usually sweet potatoes are served with maybe a cinnamon is perfectly fine. That actually is a nice appetite suppressant. Or it's with usually brown sugar, which I don't like. I'm actually adding butter to make it a little bit more creamier. All right, the butter is pretty much all in and melted. I'm going to add a little bit of sea salt, just a pinch of chili powder, just to give it a little bit of a kick. I have my little dish here that I love. It's for a small pie, but it's perfect for this size of sweet potato, for one sweet potato mash serving. So that's there, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the chili when it comes out of the oven. So this is going to go in. It's hot right now, but the nice thing is it's going to cool down a little bit until that dish is ready to go. This is going to go into the oven about 5 to 10 minutes after my sausage goes into the oven. So right now I'm going to go over and check on my dish to see if it's time to add the sausage. So my tomatoes are starting to break down, and so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to turn the heat off. But I'm going to add the sausage back into the dish. And the sausage you want on top. And I'm actually going to add the juice back in for flavoring. But this is going to go in the oven for about 20 minutes. And it's going to just be awesome. All right, it's out of the oven. It smells delicious. My bangers are completely done. The tomatoes look decimated. They still have a little bit of a shape. The bacon crisped up very, very nicely. And what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to add a little bit of pepper to my sweet potato mash, just a little bit on top, and then I'm going to top it with my chili pepper. It smells delicious. The rosemary is just really coming off of this dish, and it just smells divine. It is very tasty. It is, granted, a little more liberal carb than I make. However, for us, it is a special occasion. Again, I've mentioned this before at the beginning, earlier in the video, that you can use cauliflower mash to really take down the carb count. But it is something you should definitely give a try. Hope you liked the video. If you do, go ahead, hit thumbs up, subscribe, and till next time, I'll see you.